I've asked you to work out a MadLibs sheet by putting in action verb, a color, a place, an activity, and 3 symbols. And I filled these in. And we'll now make a design from this, and I'll demonstrate the design process. We're going to work with the design process by designing a MadLibs broadside. And a broadside generally is a little larger than the 8.5 by 11 format that you'll be taking, but it's also a notion of ephemera, so these things are poster designs that are intended to come and go. So what we'll do first is we'll sketch out lightly the format of the design. And this is the picture plane. You can also think of it as the piece of paper that you're designing. So what I've asked you to do is fill in words in the MadLibs task so far. And what I'll have you do is divide up your page in 3, and we're going to create a header section, a body section, and then a footer section. And this is a common task in design to divide up the space, and oftentimes thirds are helpful in that design process, as we've seen with architecture and typography. And we'll also divide up the page in columns, 3 columns. So lightly create a header section and a footer section. And then I want you to try and make divisible columns of 3, lightly penciled in. This is going to be a standalone poster, so this design needs a little bit of packaging, needs a little bit of cushion, and that comes in the form of a border. And that visual packaging is also a helpful packaging or a helpful design element when it comes to printing, because this space out here in the margin, it can be irregular, and so if the printer pulls the paper a little this way or that way, then the design itself is still well on the page, and so this gives a buffer. And for those who are interested in page layout design, there's also another line further out here called the bleed edge, and that lets the designer know how far to make a design extend in the event of a image that runs off of the edge, and that's just a little bit beyond the margin to accommodate that irregularity of cutting. Now the first section is going to be the header section, and we're going to choose a display text for this, and this is our call to action. This is our verb, and I believe mine was Excel. I think that was what it was. So what I want you to do is to lightly pencil in the baseline and the cap height, and you'll have an X height for your text, but I want you to design your text rather than just write out the text. So that means that it's going to have a inside edge and an outside edge and a shape to the letter forms, not just a line creating the letter forms. Next, it is helpful to find that center line as well. So we'll find that center line along a vertical, and we'll arrange our text in this display area. We'll have it justified in the center, so that means it'll be centered. And in doing that, I count my letters: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 5 letters. So that means that if I divide up my C in the middle, then the visual weight will be gathered symmetrically along that central axis. So next, I'm going to block out my letters. And I kind of want to, I like that X. I'm going to have the letters take a slant to them. So my boxes are going to be forward leaning. You can also do straight up boxes or any kind of backwards. And that's called a shear. And often it's a variant of the font. So I've got 5 of those that I need to put in. I'm going to have a typeface that's a little upright, so I'll try and space that out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And what I'm looking for here is 5 equal distances. A little bit there. I'll make it about there. And so this will come out here. And that, I noticed that with that shift, it visually comes over there. So I got to push things over just a little bit to accommodate for that. So I'm going to bump that, bump that, bump that, bump that, bump that, and bump that. And this is the design process. A lightly mapping out and iteratively reviewing your content to make adjustments based on parameters, and sometimes those parameters are given by performance. I remember when I was in graphic design and I would make these things called banners, which are advertisements for the web. We had what was known as a click-through rate, the success of a person clicking on the banner. And so we were able to find out what designs worked well and what designs didn't work well. That influenced the design. All right, so that's going to be my letters, my verb excel, and then I'm going to make block letters, and I'm going to design these on the fly. You can, I encourage you to look at the resources that we have and choose a typeface that you like and try and emulate that typeface. But again, we're drawing these letters, not writing them out. And hopefully I've counted right so that I don't have I have enough space for all my letters. And it always helps to have a light touch, and I've been accused and acknowledge my what's called ham-fistedness, which is a heavy touch. Okay, so there's my action verb. Color is what we'll use to color this monochromatically at the end. And so the next word is place, and I want that place to be subordinate to excel. The words are kind of long. I'll write that down. And I believe I'm going to maintain the capital letters. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. And I'm going to make that, I'm going to try and space that out. I want to tuck it up tight, and I'm just making decisions that are random at this point. I may decide later to bump it down, maybe around that size. And now I'm going to need to divide this up equally in 14s, and I'll just shoot for the moon. Stone Mountain. And then the next section are the 3 symbols, and I want you to rough out an area for those. Now this is kind of that body section, And so I want you to just think about how you might want to lay those out. I'm going to block them out so that they're right along the same line. And then I'm going to put the star in the center. And then I'll put the stop sign over here, and I'm going to just have a little bit of fun with it. Put it like it's going away from me. Last one is the plus sign, and I'm going to try and do something similar to the stop sign. I'll make it look like it's coming from an angle slightly. And just lightly pencil in your ideas, and things don't have to be perfect at this point. We just push the ball a little bit closer. Last thing is the activity, and mine was slalom. And I'm gonna change things up. I had my footer area here. I'm gonna bump that up a little bit more. I might choose to put something else in here. I'm not sure yet, but I'm gonna choose to have the slalom be a greater portion of the overall layout, and so the footer part will be a little greater. And I think what I'll do is I'll angle it back this way and see how that looks. Have it be roughly in that shape there in this box format. And then the content will go within that box. And that's something to consider if you do any design work, and web design work is the box model content. In this case, the activity of slalom is contained within a box, and then styling can be applied to that box. So I'll do the same thing as I've done with my other terms.
It's just that I'm not talented enough to have such groundbreaking thoughts. We'll try hard sometimes when we're not preoccupied with my own folly.
Consider that it is a good design solution, a good habit to get into to vary the styles to a small number. So right now, these are similar, these letter forms are, but this one's sheared or italicized, and this one isn't. So that's a change, a stylistic change. And I'm going to do another stylistic change down here. And the danger is that you get a little too much variety and you lose the unity in the design. So it's a good rule of thumb to limit the number of stylistic changes. It gets to be fun because each typeface and type variant of the typeface has its own unique voice, and so it's fun to play around. But the danger is that things just get a little too varied. And this is the design process. I'm penciling things out. There are some things that I want to research. Like I want to find a typeface for this that I like. I have a rough idea. I'm pretty wedded to this, but I might find some specifics about a typeface, and the same here. And now I can refine these a little bit more, and maybe I want to choose to put one more statement in here and leave that open to you as well. And I might try and repeat that as well, so that we have these repeated elements of major, subordinate, dominant, subordinate, dominant, subordinate. I might consider that so that we have similarity in our header, body, and footer. This is about what I expect for the first exercise for this series of exercises that culminates into a project. I want you to rough out your ideas and take a photo of that and submit it using the Blackboard tool. I'm going to continue working on
Time